In first grade, we started noticing what looked like very significant depression, especially in a first grader. It kind of stands out. Through a lot of different avenues, we tried looking at our parenting skills, we tried therapy for Sarah, we tried therapy for us, and eventually the idea of medications was introduced and the talk of a mood disorder, and then this was right around the time that the bipolar child book came out, so we were given that and it was like, wow, this sounds a lot like us.
I kind of just felt like I couldn't get out of bed, not that I didn't want to, but I couldn't even have the will to try and do it. I couldn't even process thinking about school because I couldn't process brushing my teeth. The mania, came and went. There would be times that, everything had to be in a certain order, and it maybe didn't make sense to someone else, but to me it was absolutely in order, and if it was moved, that would really bother me. Or I would, stay up late just feeling restless and, do somersaults back across the floor of my room, just couldn't stop because I had to be moving. Things like that, and I don't get that kind of drive anymore, but I definitely remember those long nights.
We would put the mattress on the floor, we'd put the mattress back up on the bed, we'd bring in a beanbag chair, we would, create pillows on the floor, we would try to do anything to get her to sit down, and Sarah was just in this perpetual motion, and we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning just trying to get her to settle down, and it was agonizing for her. I mean, she was distraught because she just could not settle down. Thankfully, I said once, we got that part of the medication settled, that seemed to go away, and we started on the path of treating Sarah's illness and the way it manifested in behaviors with a long laundry list of medications, and had very mixed results. Sometimes something would work for a little while, then it wouldn't. Sometimes it would work, but the side effects were significant, and I think 4th grade was really hard. There was weight gain, a lot of cognitive dulling, falling asleep in class, a lot of sedation. So that was when we started on the special education path.
That in itself was a form of therapy. It was a safe place I could go to when, either kids were too much or stress was too much, class, having that kind of safe haven and knowing that I had my resources. And as I got older, I was able to learn to use them for myself. But it was a point of necessity. I mean, you can't do it on your own.
I had quite a heated debate with some of the special education teachers who felt that, this was nobody else's business and, we shouldn't say anything about it. And my concern was that the more you were put on the spot of kids saying, wow, you've been gone for a week, where were you? That it was better to just deal with it up front. And we had one teacher in particular who was very much an advocate for doing that and being honest about it and not making a big deal. And she really rolled with it, and she was there to support Sarah and not make a big deal out of it. And the more she was natural about it, the less it was an issue. Continued really through middle school, most of the struggle was at that point with depression. And every fall you kind of could see Sarah going down the rabbit hole, and once we got to a certain point there was no pulling her back, and we just had to kind of ride it out. And she missed a lot of school, and every fall we would try to plan and try something new and hope it would work. And
when I got into high school, I met with the school social worker, and she was a lot different than any of the therapists my parents had introduced me to, and I instantly had a relationship with her, and that was a great experience for me. But I looked at it more as, okay, this is just someone that I can talk to and they're not going to tell anyone. What was difficult and will always be is not every teacher is understanding. They aren't required to have full knowledge on that like a guidance counselor or someone with a degree in special education is. So depending on the class, I didn't always have a teacher that was okay with me walking out of the room, and there were times that I had to get my mom or another teacher involved saying, hey, look, this is in her IEP, she's allowed to walk out.
It really wasn't until sophomore year in high school when things started to turn, and had really 3 years of reasonable stability. And Sarah really excelled in school, graduated with high honors, went off to college and had a few bumps along the way, but things have really, really stabilized. And it, I think, has become more of a anxiety, occasional panic attacks, and the depression component were the more of what we saw. We really never saw the mania again after we started on lithium back in 4th grade.
College was a new ballpark. I was able to make friends. I was able to start over. I was at a reasonably, healthy place, and I could tell, it was something that was setting me apart. And, at that point, I kind of made a decision to, I knew that the rest of my life I wasn't going to be able to walk out of a room. I knew in my career path I was going to have to take tests, and I wasn't going to be able to be like, I need extended time. And so I figured out a way to make it work. To this day, I still struggle with tests. I do get some test anxiety. I don't always pass my tests, but I work my butt off on every other assignment, and I'm able to make good grades. So today, Sarah's a very ambitious, driven, patient person, I guess. I've been through enough that I like to think that I don't judge others too quickly. I'm going places. I'm not gonna let anything stop me.